"Set sail!" Alaric's voice cut through the aftermath of the execution, commanding and absolute. "We depart for the cove immediately. Our destiny awaits." The Corsairs, reinvigorated by the discovery and their captain's decisive action, moved with renewed purpose. The sails were hoisted, the course set. The air buzzed with the anticipation of the forthcoming adventure, the promise of treasure igniting a fire in their hearts. As the ships turned towards their new destination, guided by the stars and the map that promised to lead them to untold wealth, Alaric stood at the helm. The weight of command rested on his shoulders, a burden he bore with unwavering resolve. Weeks after their victorious encounter with the Galeheart, the Corsairs of the Crimson Tide, under the stalwart leadership of Captain Alaric, were edging closer to the elusive treasure of King Aerion. As the days stretched into weeks, the thrill of their triumph mingled with an ever-growing unease. The sea, which had always been their ally, now seemed a vast, whispering enigma, foretelling a fate entwined with shadow and storm. The journey to the secluded cove was marked by omens both dire and mysterious. A ghostly fog had enveloped their fleet for 3 sunless days, lifting only to reveal the craggy silhouette of the cove at dawn's first light. The crew, superstitious and seasoned, murmured of ancient curses and whispered anxiously about the spectral guardians rumored to dwell beneath the waves, protectors shrouded in legend and shadow. Captain Alaric, ever vigilant and unyielding, paced the deck of his flagship, the Tempest's Wrath. His sharp gaze often turned skyward, reading the ominous patterns of the roiling clouds as if seeking an augury. The restlessness of the sea seemed a mirror to his own turbulent thoughts occupied with legends of boundless riches and the spectral threats that guarded them. Below deck the mood was somber yet charged with a palpable tension. The Corsairs, a brotherhood born of the sea's caprice, were no strangers to danger. Yet the closer they drew to their destination, the more each man grappled with the burgeoning weight of their impending ordeal. Old hands at the ropes exchanged tales of the supernatural, each story more embellished than the last, while newcomers clutched their talismans and offered silent prayers to Elysia, muse of the deep waters, hoping she might calm the wrathful spirits they were about to disturb. As the cove finally came into view, a surreal calm descended upon the area. The water, unnaturally still, mirrored a sky heavy with the promise of storms. It was then that the lookout, perched high in the crow's nest, his voice edged with both awe and dread, called down to the deck. "The cove, the treasure cove of Aerion's legends, lies before us." At his shout, a flurry of activity overtook the ship. Corsairs scrambled to their positions, eyes alight with both greed and fear. Captain Alaric, with a commanding bellow, ordered the sails adjusted and the helm manned with their most experienced sailors. He himself took his place at the forefront, his figure a steadfast silhouette against the brooding sky. The entrance to the cove was flanked by towering cliffs, their jagged faces scarred by the relentless assault of wind and wave. The ships, now aligned with the captain's unwavering resolve, sailed forward, each man aboard tightly wound as the strings of a lute before the pluck that would call forth a storm of notes. As they crossed the threshold of the cove, a hush fell over the fleet, a silence so profound it seemed the world itself held its breath. Yet this was merely the calm before the tempest, a fleeting reprieve before the sea would reveal its true nature, and the Corsairs would meet their fate, be it laden with gold or gripped by the cold hands of the abyss. Without warning, the tranquil waters turned treacherous, as if the cove itself sought to expel the intruders. Currents, unnaturally strong and directed, began to surge, propelling Alaric's fleet with an increasing velocity towards the heart of the cove. The men, caught off guard by the sudden assault of the sea, scrambled to regain control of their vessels, but the forces at play were beyond their realm of understanding. In the midst of the pandemonium, one of the Corsairs dared to peer into the abyss below, only to witness the horror that awaited them. There were serpentine guardians, creatures of scale and sinew surged upwards. With claws designed to rend ship from ship, they latched onto the vessels with a terrifying strength, their bodies coiling around the hulls, constricting like vipers around their prey. The fleet, comprising 5 vessels, stood no chance against the onslaught. The guardians, with their monstrous might, forced the ships into one another, causing catastrophic collisions. Wood splintered, screams filled the air and fires ignited, casting a hellish glow over the scene. Some of the Corsairs fell victim to the Guardians' blades and teeth, while others, including Alaric himself, were dragged into the depths by the creatures. Below the surface, the Corsairs faced the grim reality of their quest. The treasure of Aerion, cursed and corrupting, lay before them, its lure as potent as the tales had promised. Yet, it was the corruption of Vortrex, an ancient malice that ensnared them, transforming them into beings as monstrous as the Guardians who had dragged them down. The Corsairs of the Crimson Tide, once proud and fearless, became the new custodians of the cove, their humanity eroded by the corruption. Bound to the treasure they had sought, they were transformed into serpentine guardians themselves, doomed to protect the Horde for eternity. The revelation of their fate sent shockwaves through the Council of Captains. The treacherous waters of Elysia were now home to a new legend of a fleet turned monstrous by their own greed, and a curse too powerful to overcome. It stood as a dark reminder of the sea's ability to guard its secrets. The aftermath of the expedition revealed the true extent of Silas's scheme and the unforeseen consequences of meddling with forces beyond comprehension. The Council of Captains, now cognizant of the grim destiny that had engulfed Alaric and his armada, confronted the stark reality of a menace that not only refrained from vanquishing their adversary, but also birthed a new myth in the perilous waters of Elysia, a cadre of serpentine sentinels, doomed to safeguard the very bounty they coveted, while meting out retribution upon those who dared to trespass their domain. In the tapestry of Elysian tales, the saga of Silas's deceit and the cursed treasure of King Aerion stands as a dark weave, a story of ambition clashing with ancient curses and the unpredictable fates that govern the realm. It is a somber reminder that in the pursuit of power and wealth, one may find themselves ensnared in the very traps they set for others, and the whispers of the past hold truths that should not be ignored.